Listen to Career Paths by Implement every Thursday.
You might learn something.
You might not.
Available on Apple Podcasts,
On Spreaker,
Spotify,
on Google,
and iHeartRadio. It's your life. Make it happen.
So, yeah, we'll get there. Trust me. We'll get there.
Well,
If we don't, well, we'll get there. Are you on?
yeah,
Are you there yet?
we're there.
Are you sure?
No.
So, who'd you talk to at the company, Brian? I'm just asking.
You know, I can't remember. I think his initials were VB or something.
I don't.
It's one of the guys at Infotech.
DB, whatever.
Yeah. DB, I think. Yeah.
Cooper? Was it Cooper?
Could have been. Could have been.
Talking,
he's loaded.
that fills in for what we're doing here. DB Cooper. You know, you've heard of DB Cooper, right?
Sure.
Thank you. Still haven't found him.
He changed the way we did things.
Yes. See, there you go. Welcome to Infonet by, oh, geez Louise. There's how bad it is. I'm all excited. I am. Welcome to Career Paths by Infonet. I'm your host, Victor Boudreau. Along with my side, as I hit I'm getting excited.
Host.
Host. Ryan King.
Yeah, Ryan King.
Host. Who'd you talk to? And our guest today.
Very top guy. Went in his office today.
Huh. Okay. It's a little warm. If you don't know, we're taping, and it's about 112 out in Spokane, Washington, and I'm sweating just sitting here. I thought you turned on. Did you talk to the guy about turning on the air conditioner?
Said once we start making money.
Oh crap! Our guest today is Mark Hopkins. I met you several years ago. Actually, we met.
We did.
And I finally we were at a situation recently, and I asked you what you did, and I became fascinated. Anybody that's watching the YouTube, Mark wrote a book. Started the book in
1996.
Okay, and you are a retired, lucky pilot, correct? That was your career.
Right.
That's we're going to talk about that mainly or go over. But you have, so if you're listening on the audio, endless black ribbon, huh? What do you think that means? We'll get into it. Ryan, how's your day, Ryan? Hold on, I'm already. Sorry, Mark, I didn't mean to cut you off. I did. I'm going to ask. You're the host. Go ahead.
My day was fine. Thanks for asking.
Uh-huh. So, okay. So, Mark, you've been, I don't know, I'm just all excited. I don't know where to start. How'd you get into being a pilot? I asked you, your wife actually said, brought up the pilot thing more than you. You downplay it, and then when I found out, I kept coming back over to where you're sitting.
She probably used the term sky god.
Yeah, she's awfully, she was awfully fond of you.
That's the tongue-in-cheek insult that stewardesses always.
Was she a stewardess?
She was. She had 16 years.
Wow.
And
you didn't meet her. Is that how you got?
And she went back to college, graduated with honors from San Diego State.
Well, I should be interviewing her. Screw you, Mark.
Yeah,
Get out of here. What a pilot, whatever.
I'll tell you what, she's worked hard to get where she's.
What she's done?
So anyway, that's a little inside joke, the Sky God thing.
Sky God. Okay. Well, maybe we'll catch a little bit more of the Sky God. We're gonna have to get the smaller cards. Ryan, could you talk to the guy you're talking to about getting?
Oh yeah.
Your aerodynamics suck.
Thank you. So, did you go to college out of high school? Let's go way back. We're gonna try to get through this because your story's gonna be, for me, once again, I'm fascinated. I'm just the pilot thing. in the back, way back in my head, I've always thought about trying to do something like that. But yeah, no. So,
Well, back to the beginning. When I was 8 years old,
get out of here.
every year my parents would have all of us kids write something in our baby book.
Oh, okay.
And when I was 8 years old, I said I wanted to be an airline pilot. That's when everybody else wanted to be a fireman. Or
That question's later down the road, actually.
that comes. Oh,
Yeah.
I got ahead of the 8 year
No,
old.
no, you're fine. It's just, once again, we've done a few of these. So do you want a kid, cowboy, astronaut, police? Okay, you want to be an airline pilot.
Right, and that was from a young age.
Wow.
And then when I was a teenager, I used to take my bike up 4 miles to Laurie Air Force Base and hang on the wire there and watch the planes.
Wow.
And
So I'm an ex-military, Brad, and I would do the air shows, but I never took advantage of it. Never mind. I'm just now crying. Go ahead. Anyway.
so that was
Sorry.
ingrained in me. That was my desire.
Right.
And
Wow.
you know,
From age 8 or 6? What was it?
well, 8, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly, because we've talked briefly on this, just enough to get me all excited. Ryan, cut in any time since you're the hosting today.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
A good host doesn't have to do all the talking.
That's right. A good host lets everybody else talk.
So, real quick, we'll do a little background. Also, retired. You don't have to give your specific age. How old are you? You're married. You got kids? Grandkids?
Yeah, one that I just found out about
Well, that's nice. You can let you know.
on what's that one, 23andMe or something like that. It's the DNA.
Oh,
23andMe,
Thing.
yeah.
huh. I don't
And-
have kids, so I don't. Yeah.
I actually went on there to see if I had any disposition toward, something like Alzheimer's or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to know if you've got
You lose
that
your mind?
in your genes.
Yeah, I do. So thank
and
you.
they sent me a notice saying you have a.
Wow.
Actually, they told me I had a son, and I'm just going, oh Jesus, and I started thinking about, and actually it turned out to be my son's son.
Wow.
and,
okay.
He didn't know about it. And
wow.
so they've all gotten together and
Wow.
So yeah, that's how I got a grandson.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys,
Oh, okay.
and one's a Hollywood stuntman, lives in Vegas. The other one's a truck driver, and he was the emphasis for this book here. I went out on the road with him.
Once again, we're holding up in case you're listening to the audio. I didn't know you had a book. I'm really impressed. Endless Black Ribbon by Mark Hopkins. Okay.
And so
Do I get to keep this?
it's yours. And in fact, I took the liberty of
Did you?
signing it off to you.
Ah. Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
there's going to be a quiz, so I'll find out if you read it or not.
Oh, crap. I got to read now? Wait. Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
And it's not there's some flying in there because it has to do with personalities of the 2 guys driving the truck together.
Okay.
And it's a father and son trucker team. And when I went out on the road with him, it was amazing how little I knew about parenting. Because here's a guy he's an adult. He's checking me out to drive a big rig truck,
Right.
teaching me, and the old titles of dad and son and all those things, they no longer applied.
To the
And,
situation.
So there was a huge adjustment period in there.
Wow.
So anyway, that's how
fine.
that got started. And
Okay. So okay. I'm going to have to read the book now.
Well, it's and
That's
you know
awesome.
if I think it's mislabeled as far as the genre of the thing, it should be a parenting book.
Okay.
Because that's-
I'll let you know when I get done. I got to read a book.
You can
Yeah.
start it tomorrow when you skip
There's a little
work.
bit of Vietnam stuff in there, but it's only because the father figure had some
Vietnam.
stuff left
Yeah.
over.
Okay. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Sky King. Sky God.
Sky God.
Sky God. I just keep getting off track. I apologize. I'm just. Oh, that was not the right one.
Yeah, your
Yeah, I'm working.
helicopter's doing better.
Yeah, I worked on it.
So, let me ask, how did you become interested in becoming a pilot? I mean, what was it at that age.
Well, I had the young, you know, that I think it was the image, you know, the scarf and goggles and hard fighting,
Yeah.
hard drinking,
Snoopy.
you know, the whole thing. And one of the movies that influenced me was called Bridges of Tokori, and it was with Mickey Rooney and William Holden. They were Navy pilots fighting in Korea, and they had this scene in there where they were going into Korea to attack this thing, and the camera flew right over a ridge line, and then the ridge fell away, and there was this big thing there. And I used to sit in the front row of the balcony
Oh,
and get the rush from
looking over.
flying over the edge of this thing. It was like, whoa! So that was one of the things. And I did join the Navy when I was 17, and went off for 4 years. And I thought that I was going to get in because of a lack of education in the back door to being a pilot. And so I put in for it, and I jumped through all their hoops and filled all their squares, and then I got to the physical, and I had 20/25 vision in one eye, so the Navy wouldn't take me. And I didn't want anything to do with the Air Force, so once I got out of the Navy, I used the GI Bill and took flying lessons, and then I chased jobs around like a migrant fruit picker. And so, and that's what you had to do, you know, it was your apprenticeship, unless you had lots and lots of military time and all that stuff, and you could waltz right into one of the big airlines. But the little guys, you know, they had to start off. I wrote down my flying credentials here. I've been with 5 airlines, been laid off 9 times, and fired twice. So that was my career.
Now look at that. He's admitting he's been fired. And you. I just want to point out this is our first guest walks in with a book. First guest walks in. He's ready. He has notes in front of him. God, I'm sorry. I'm just excited. Still, I'm trying to keep calm and not jitter. And anything else, right? That was okay. Did the military. Got out. That didn't help because of your eyesight. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Did that matter? Was that
No.
that wasn't?
No, it was I had all the squares filled except that one thing.
Wow.
And you know, my commanding officer at the time really liked me. I was a hard worker. I made the rank as soon as you could possibly make them up the line there, and I was his crew chief.
Wow. Okay.
His maintenance crew chief, not his line crew chief. He wrote a letter to the Surgeon General asking them for a waiver for me, and it took 4 months or something for them to get back, and they said, we can waiver all of those other requirements.
Of course.
All the ones that I had checked off, but not the one I didn't have checked off.
Of course.
So, and you know, I think the big guy was looking out for me, because here's the math on that deal. I would have gone to flight training, OCS, and then flight training in late 1963. I would have been got my wings by 65, late 65, and by the time I went through training, assuming I got into fighters or something like that, another 6 months. So I would have been in Vietnam right in 1967.
Wow.
Right in the middle of it.
Yeah, there was.
And somebody didn't want me to go.
Apparently.
So, ironically, as I progressed through jobs, jump ahead a little bit here.
Yeah.
I went to work for a non-skid airline that flew.
A non-skid. What's a non-skid?
Well, they call them supplemental airlines, and what they are is they're airlines that fill in the blanks for the scheduled airlines.
Okay.
That don't want to start a permanent route there.
Okay.
To somewhere.
All right, thank you.
And the non-skids come in and fill those in.
Thank you.
So they have a back contract, Military Airlift Command. So I wound up in Tacoma, flying to Vietnam.
Well, he made it over anyway.
in an airliner instead of
But still.
fighter.
Right.
So,
So-
that was the big guy watching out for me.
See, the other thing, there's a OCS. My father went through OCS, but he wasn't the pilot situation. He was aircraft maintenance and worked. So I think another connection I'm digging on. So thank you. So obviously you're superior in the Navy, trying to help out any way you could because how that worked. Out of the Navy, you said you went to school to become a pilot. Where'd you go? How did that work?
That almost didn't work out. I lived in San Diego. When I got out of the Navy, I just stayed where I was. I was at NAS Miramar in a squadron that later became known as Top Gun. At the time, we were called a RAG outfit, which was some kind of an acronym for a training squadron.
Okay.
So we trained pilots to go out into the fleet and all that stuff, and so we were land-based at Miramar. I did go to college at night. I went to City College and then Mesa College, and got 2 years in.
Okay.
That was part of filling the squares to become a pilot.
Yeah.
But let's see, the subject of this is I sidetracked myself there.
It's all good. I'll get you back there. Trust me, I've done this a few times.
Good.
How long did you go to college? That was the question. But so you did 2 years of college, but with the other stuff you were doing.
Well, I went to flight school down at San Diego Airport, Lindbergh Field,
Okay.
and it was run by Mac Huntington, real high-time woman pilot. She was involved in all of the things that Amelia Earhart and all that kind of stuff. And so I started taking flying lessons there, and my instructor was an ex-Navy pilot, and he was just kind of bored. And
That's nice.
yeah, I think he was a little too old to get in the airlines, which they can't do that now. But age 30 used to be
Really?
an unspoken
For airline?
cutoff
Back in the day?
to get an airline job.
Wow.
And,
Age discrimination, can't do any of that.
Oh yeah, well nowadays you
can't do anything.
Guy walks in there and he's 50 years old, but they don't dare turn him down because of that.
Right, they can't say that. They can turn them down.
So,
but-
I was taking my lessons and studying hard, and I had 40 hours, and I still had not soloed. The average person solos around 12 hours. That's
okay,
what they
really?
tell me.
See, once again, you're teaching me.
So I was the dummy of the bunch, and so
Just remember,
Mac called me
he
in
wrote a
one-
book. He's not.
she said, "I'm not going to take any more of your money. You're just not cut out for this, and so we're going to cut you loose." And I would recommend you don't go to another flight school and waste a bunch of money.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Nice to be.
because I was using the GI Bill,
Right.
and I borrowed money from my family,
Okay.
and and we were living very frugally so that we could get
Sure.
through this.
Sure.
And I remember sitting at this picnic table in the hangar, and boy, I was in the dumps.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And this young instructor named Bob Bryan came over, he'd heard that I washed out. And so he's going, "I don't understand. You're always in the books. You're always asking questions. You're always on top of things. Why haven't you soloed?" And so he started asking me, well, he said, "What do you guys do when you're out there in the practice area?" And I said, "Oh, Shondells and Lazy Eights and Immelman turns and, all this." He just looked at me and said, are you kidding me? I hadn't done any of the introductory things like slow flying the airplane at a steady rate and doing stall recovery so that when you solo, if any of these things happen to you.
Right, you don't freak.
Yeah, and it's very cut and dried about how you need to progress through learning that task.
But they weren't teaching you.
He had me out there doing aerobatics, And I was scared shitless the whole time. It's like, oh God, do I have to do this? Like, oh
Right,
God.
yeah, okay.
And he wasn't using the syllabus. He'd come out to the airplane. He'd say, go pre-flight the airplane. I'd be out there, and he'd come and say, what do you want to work on today? How do you ask a student,
Right.
well, what would you like me to teach you today?
Yeah, what,
And
you're here to teach me.
And Bob, to his credit, he went in Mac's office like a whirlwind, and he brought Mac out there and sat down, and he said, he started asking me questions. Well, have you ever done any slow fire? Have you ever done that? And Mac was astonished. She said, no wonder you haven't soloed. You haven't done anything to prep yourself.
Right, exactly. To do just
come
solo.
around and land.
Right.
And so I almost washed out of my dream, and Bob Bryan saved me.
So things changed at that point.
Oh man! And so, well, it worked, and
Yeah.
it-
How long after-
what was interesting, and this ties in with your thing that you wanted me to give listeners
Yeah, you made
some
the main point of the show.
encouragement
Yes.
to go into the
Information.
profession. Back in the mid-'60s, there was a severe pilot shortage.
Mhm.
The military didn't have the influx through there. Vietnam hadn't happened yet, and Korea was 15 years ago, and so they just weren't getting the pilot pool
Right.
to apply. So they were hiring. If you had a private pilot's license, you could get hired by United or TWA, Pan Am, and then they would pay for your additional training to get your commercial license.
Because they needed to.
And the reason they got away with that was because the airplanes at that time had 3 men in the cockpit. They had 2 pilots and a flight engineer. And so, because of seniority, you always started out in the side saddle,
Sure.
doing flight engineer stuff. So that gave you the opportunity to really learn your trade, because a private pilot just doesn't have the experience to
How would you?
step
Yeah.
into those seats. And so if you contrast that with now, we have a severe pilot shortage.
Again.
The problem is there aren't any more 3-man airplanes. They can't hire a guy with a private pilot's license.
To do it.
And they don't even like to have an instrument rated pilot who's very low on time, 200 or 300, 400 hours.
Wow.
And because when he gets hired, he's going to be trained in one of the pilot seats.
Right.
He's going to be right there. So now they've got a problem. The FAA wants these certain standards. Where in the hell are they going to get these guys? The bad press about the pilots' wages went in the toilet with all the bankruptcies and all that stuff. The companies got away with abrogating their contracts and stripping their retirements and
Of course.
all that. Yeah, they got away with that, but now it's coming back to bite them because nobody with a college degree wants to go to work for the money that they want to pay starting pilots, when starting college degrees are 5 times that much.
We're not always an advocate. There's other ways to go besides college these days. So how long did you go to college, Brian?
Zero
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
0 days, in fact. Yeah.
Me neither. So that's why we're making big bucks. Go ahead. You got some. I'm still the information. Thank you, Mark. I'm just still kind of giddy. I'm just taking it in. Shut up, Ryan.
So, where did you find the information to, once you got out of the military, to pursue becoming a pilot?
Oh, it's easy. Just go to any airport. There's flight schools at practically every airport.
Really? I guess
yeah.
nowadays you go online.
Maybe not nowadays. I don't know.
Yes,
It's fairly expensive to operate something like that.
Right.
And the insurance requirements are sky high. And so the situation right now is the same as it was in the mid-'60s, but the background of the whole thing is quite a bit different. So that's
Gotcha.
why I can't recommend a course of action to your viewers. If you want to do it, you're going to have to eat beans for a while. You know, you're not going to step into the big bucks. And I'll tell you one thing that just frosts me is that when I was flying 767s, my best year, I made
That would be a Boeing, I'm sorry.
I made $250,000 in my best year because I flew a lot. I read where the head librarian in San Diego library system was retiring with $260,000 a year.
Huh?
So something slightly upside down there.
You think?
I don't know. I don't know how many lives she's saved, but I've been told that I've got a certain number behind me.
So, okay, so now you bring that up. I'm going to ask. You brought it up. I didn't even think about it beforehand, but before the show, what's the scariest situation that you've dealt with? Now that you're retired, you can say this stuff, right? You can admit whatever.
I can tell all the secrets now.
Okay, I just want one because what was the scariest thing for you as a pilot flying commercial?
Well, I had time to reflect on that the last couple of days.
Since I asked it, yeah.
The closest I came to actually dying instantly was.
We're dying. That's how scary this was.
We were departing from Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam, with a plane load of GIs going home, which was always a good flight to have.
I'm sure.
And there was a place called Sandy Intersection. Sandy Intersection is just a thing on the map that determines the Vietnamese airspace versus the Philippine airspace, and what controllers you're going to have.
And deal with.
And the military guys, they would check in only by radio. They would say, and here's what was said that day. Navy, so and so, Sandy intersection, level 260, and we're going tactical, which means bye bye, and they're gone.
Okay.
And I was just getting ready to make the same call at 270. We were 1,000 feet higher.
Okay.
And I put the mic up to my mouth, and my whole entire windscreen was filled with an F4. We were so close to that guy that I could read their names under the canopy.
Whoa.
And I grabbed the thing, and the captain had to throw his
coffee.
He liked westerns, Western
okay.
novels. He threw his novel in the back,
water?
and I must have been white, because he looked down and he said, "Oh, Jesus." The other three guys, what happened was the other three guys were going right underneath us, and this fourth guy had drifted up so he could get a photo op with Cam Ranh Bay and the big white sand beaches. Oh, that I'm sure they're all filled with big hotels now.
Right.
Because that, as far as you could see, were these beautiful white sand beaches, and so he was up there taking pictures of his buddy, and he went right across our bow, and I mean it was.
Wow.
I couldn't even talk for 5 minutes after that. I was like.
So you dropped. You had to, you dropped. I mean, I'm talking about the plane itself. It dropped. You had to drop it. What'd you?
We couldn't have reacted quick enough. If he'd have been 10 or 15 feet back, or 10 or 15 feet.
Either
way.
All right. I'm just trying to visualize what this.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. And he was before I even touched the yoke, he was gone. It was like that. And I can still see this at night.
I would imagine.
Once in a while, I have that. I don't know why it comes back to me, but I'll see that airplane, and I don't know if that's PTSD. I don't think it's hurting me. I don't. I mean.
Yeah, but it's still. Wow.
I don't feel tweaked at all, but.
No worse than normal.
So.
So now, did the that other pilot realize?
No. I'm sure they had their camera out and they were probably talking to their buddies on the interphone. And so anyway, the captain saw the three guys go below us, and this other guy was back.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the closest physical I've come, but I've had 35 years of flying. It's like asking a butcher if he's ever cut himself.
We did have a butcher on.
And so, I mean, really, there's been so many things. And back in the old days.
The old days.
Yeah, the old days. They wanted to find out the true safety of the air traffic system.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't get guys to fess up when they screwed up.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Admit. I mean, you're not going to tell on yourself.
You're
cost
not
yourself
usually.
your job.
Right.
And
how many UFOs did you see, Mark? Go ahead.
What they did was NASA. It was called the NASA report, and you would fill out this form and tell them all about it and tell them what happened, even if you're incriminating yourself, and you say, yeah, well, I shouldn't have done this, and I was sleeping at the time, or whatever. And so,
What'd you do?
You have to turn that mic on.
Okay, so you get to think later. Go ahead, Mark.
so anyway, if you filed a NASA report, they would tear the top part off that had your name and address on it,
Okay. Yeah,
and they'd mail it to you. So you had proof that you filed a NASA report about that incident,
Okay.
and
But
the
you're not.
FAA had no way to know.
Right.
It was all anonymous.
Right. That makes
And
sense.
so they got a better picture of the safety of everything.
How good or bad things were?
Because
You're saying
boy,
bad, huh?
and I got a drawer full of those NASA reports, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a rare individual that
Passes it.
never filed a
Well,
NASA
that's life,
report.
yeah.
And you know what? Even when it was something that was not your fault, or you weren't even maybe involved in it, but boy, you put in one, and that gives anonymity to everybody in the situation.
Wow.
So anyway, that's the old days. I don't know if they still have those or
Right. How long ago did you retire from actually flying commercial?
03.
Okay, wow.
So it's been
a little bit, but still.
Yeah.
So going back to your training and stuff, what obstacles did you have throughout?
Well, my experience level was always an obstacle. I think I told Victor this incident where I accidentally spouted off in front of the guy who happened to be the top boss, and
He happened to be in the room, apparently.
without knowing about it, and so I was always a little bit behind because that honeymoon with the private pilot's license, that ended about 1966, and I contacted United. I had that lady's name because I went over there. I didn't have my pilot's license yet, and she said, gosh, if you had your private pilot's license, I'd put you in class right now. And that ties back into that guy who didn't train me right. I should have had my pilot's license already in my pocket, and I didn't.
By that time.
So she said, well, when you get your private license, give me a call. I'm based in LA. So I called her up, and she said, oh, well, what's happening now is the military is starting to release some of the guys that were in Vietnam in the early days, and so we're getting jet qualified guys in, and so we can't hire private pilots anymore. But give me a call as soon as you get your commercial license. You're talking another 100 or more flight hours at $15 an hour, which back
then, that was.
And not to mention the time it takes you to, if you flew 2 hours a day, it'd still take you
wow.
quite a long time. So I was always just a little bit behind the requirements that they wanted, because by the time I got my commercial license, and my instrument rating and my multi-engine rating, I go there and they say, well, how many hours do you have? I lied my ass off. I'd say, 400. Oh, well, gosh, we're hiring people with 1,000 hours or more. Oh, well, I'll rush out and I'll fly day and night and I'll get another 800 hours under my belt, So it was like, that was what led me to the confrontation that I had with the HR people at Flying Tigers. Flying Tigers was the last house on the block. World Way West is where all the headquarters of the airlines were at the time at LAX. And so I'd already gotten the bum's rush from all of them. And here's Flying Tigers. And so I go in there and I unloaded on that secretary. She really didn't deserve that, but she was being an asshole too, so I could justify that. But I said, look, you say you want this many hours and these licenses and this minimum flight time. I've got all those requirements. I meet all of your requirements, but you won't even give me an interview to see if that I'd be suitable. And while I was spouting off to her, I saw this big portly guy using a copy machine over in the corner over there. And so finally I said, well, I'm going in that office right there and I'm going to talk to that son of a bitch. And you want to call security? Call security, because I'm going to call the newspapers and I'm going to show you dragging me out in handcuffs.
Let's have fun.
You know what?
I couldn't lose anything.
I was
frustrated.
No, well, of course I was frustrated, but I was at the end of the line.
Right. Well, yeah.
So finally, her phone rings and she goes, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And she looks at me like, "What?
How the hell?
And
what's going on?"
She said, "Captain Martin wants to talk to you." I said, "That's great. Who's Captain Martin?" She said, "He's the director of flight operations, and his office is directly above this one." And so I go down this hall that's paint and linoleum, and I go up the stairs and it changes to carpet and walnut. So, I'm getting close to something big here, and I don't know if I'm dressed for the occasion,
Okay, we're gonna stop. We're gonna take a short. I knew this was gonna happen. We're gonna actually do. Anybody listening to the show on the podcast, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back over. So anybody listening's got to wait for next week's. We're gonna come back. So it's kind of a teaser. If you're watching, you gotta come back next week too. We're gonna finish the story, right?
Right.
To be continued.
To be continued. That's our first official to be continued. We've done a couple shows, but we never took a break. I'm just watching and seeing.
And we just had me hack it up.
We got a cliffhanger. No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so let's end the show really quick because we're coming back next week. We're not. We're gonna keep going, but you get to wait.
Jeez, I would have brought another shirt to fight.
Yeah,
If I'd have known this, then we could
No, I'm not changing
look
my
like it's next week.
Hey, I do that. See that my wardrobe. Hey, thanks for watching Career Paths by Infonet. Host Victor Boudreau.
Host Ryan King.
Please subscribe to Lead Listen. I'm still excited now. Wait, I know the cliffhanger. I already know the answer. You guys gotta wait. Please please subscribe. Anything else?
Review.
Review. Yeah, you guys, if you're watching, you know what's going on. Listening, you know what's going on. It's your life. Make it happen. Till next time. We'll be back. Ready? Are we back?
We're back.
Hey, we're back with Mark Hopkins from last week. Huh?
Should actually go cut and then.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, we'll do that because that way it makes it easier for my editing.
Oh, yeah.
We've never done this before.
You got a clapboard.
We do. Let me know when. Clapper.